Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
We are going to look at a very beautiful case study, a detailed case study of how a storage unit was developed to mainly look at post-harvest vegetables that normally go waste. So, how you can actually make them not go waste. Okay, so, let us begin. Welcome back to Swayam course on design thinking and innovation. This is week 12. We are moving on to the tool section. What you saw it in the process section, we are going to do a bit more details so that you can make use of these tools in your projects in the next section. So, it is section T12, week 12. So, again all these are tools: minimum viable product, proof of concept, information architecture and experience design. So, let us look at minimum viable product, MVP. So, we have gone through this in the previous section. It is a simple version of the product that you are doing, so that you can test it out and get feedback from the users. Okay, and helps you to do it very quickly without spending a lot of money, okay, and efforts. Okay, so, the first example we saw was from Marbo, where they used a foam model with detachable units, so that you can actually give it to the children and get the feedback on it. Okay, so, this is not a working prototype, but it is a simulated prototype, but it looks and feels like the original. So, they can actually give you some feedback on what the idea is, and you will see that they actually have liked that idea very much. Okay. Here actually is another prototype for an interactive exhibition. Okay. So, this is the minimum viable product made out of cardboard paper. It is a simple version based on covered, that means multiple stories are hidden behind these doors. And the student needed to get feedback from users, whether the users were children, whether it is a good idea or not. And she got feedback, but finally she went with something else than this. But it was a good feedback you got. Okay. So, this is another person, especially during COVID. Okay, there was a need to carry medicines all the time, and for people who have chronic illnesses, you need something which you can carry with you. So, this is the rough design of it. It is a paper prototype of it, which you can actually hang it or put it into your pocket. Okay. So, it has to facilitate that. Okay. So, it is made out of, you will see that it is made out of cardboard paper. Okay. And you can tuck it inside your bag or next to your skirt. Okay. And person got extremely good feedback on this, and people wanted something like this. So, if you look at the steps in this, you need to select the concept that you want to actually do an MVP. Okay. You need to write down the most important aspects of it, so that you can detail out it, and there are many ways you can do it. Okay. You can use foam, cardboard, plaster, softwood, or for 3D products, and cardboard printouts, cutouts for 2D products. Wireframes, low fidelity prototypes on paper, Figma for digital prototypes, and if it is interactive, you can use Arduinos or sensors for interactive prototypes, right. Also make the prototype such that it has enough features and functionality to get a feedback, and give it to the users and get feedback from them, and then decide what to do next. Okay, so, that is minimum viable product. Let us move on to proof of concept, POC. As the name suggests, it kind of demonstrates the feasibility of the idea. There's something new that you've thought of, I better test it out before I go ahead with that, okay, with the feedback from the users. Okay, so POC is great for testing the functional or technical or material aspects of the concept. Again, it saves you time, efforts and costs, okay, and making sure that this new idea can work. Okay, so you're basically trying it out before it is adopted as part of the final design. Okay. Yeah, it helps you to quickly visualize, test and get feedback and change or iterate in order to make the next version of it. Okay, so some examples, this we've seen before, a POC mockup of this version that helps you test it out. Okay, and again, this he didn't go through with the final design, he took another version of it. So if you look at the steps in it, okay, you need to select again the concept you want to do a prototype and try it out as a POC version, and you can again use multiple methods to make the POC, make the prototype and get feedback from the users. It's very simple, okay, and it's very helpful to make sure that do you want to go ahead with that or do you want to try out something else. Okay. Move on to the next section, information architecture. We mentioned this before. It's important when there is communication of information, and it's of very importance to your design, then structuring it, organizing it is very, very helpful. Okay. So, so that it makes it easy for you to locate a particular piece of information, okay, and then navigate towards that, okay, and it also makes it easy to understand. Okay, and yeah, so it has wide applications from websites to control panels to signage systems to museum and library and catalog and directories. Yeah, this we've seen before. Okay, and you've seen that it can be used in all these domains, and it plays a very important role in actually organization of the information within these. Okay, so again, reading out digital interfaces, control panels, wayfinding systems, museum layouts, store layout, public places, directories and library layouts. Okay, so you'll see that there's a need for organizing the information, putting it into categories, having an index or catalog, doing a navigation system, having a signage system to locate it, use arrows for direction. So these are some of the common things, but depends exactly on what exactly you're trying to do. Okay, so an example of it being used for website on calligraphy, learning of calligraphy. Okay, so it has a learning of calligraphy on one side and lots of case studies and examples from masters of calligraphy on the other side, and they catalog, categorized, and very easy to navigate within the web space itself. Another example of it, okay, so this is the architecture of the interface for the Jello application, which is actually meant for children who are not able to speak. Okay, so the words are replaced by icons or images. So when you touch the icon, actually it speaks it out to them. So this is the categorization of the different icons according to different activities. You can see that places, greet and feel, time and weather, help section, fun section, learning section, the friends and people section, the eating section and the daily activities section. So this is the very broad information architecture of Jello. Yeah, so if you look at the steps in organization of information, first you have to categorize the information into different groups based on similarities, okay, or so that they all come under certain groups, okay, and then you have to decide how it should flow. How will you decide the navigation, from what it should go, what should be next, okay. And for applications of wayfinding, it's best to do a walkthrough through that place and decide the points where you need to make decisions because you'll understand that's the points where you actually need information or signages. Okay, and then you make a rough prototype, even a paper prototype, put it out, get feedback from the users and see if it works or not. Okay, so we'll move on to the next section, which is experience design. Experience design, as we mentioned, is design of products, both physical and digital, service systems to facilitate easy understanding, satisfying engagement and good experiences. Okay, in each one of them, easy understanding means it's very easy to locate, understand, navigate and make use of it. Okay, satisfying engagements, it feels good to interact, it works well. Good experience is comfortable, memorable. Okay, so you want to come back and use it again. Yeah. So we looked at these examples in the previous section: a ceiling fan, okay, a grinder mixer, an email application. All of them meant certain things. A ceiling fan that recognizes your presence, sets the speed according to the temperature, makes no noise and switches off when you leave the place, is an extremely experiential device. You almost don't feel the presence of it, but you feel good about it. Even a grinder mixer, which can actually make no noise, where you can set from fine to rough grinding, okay, and you can switch it on and it will switch it off and make a sound when it's off, is a much better experience than the present ones. An email application, by the way the email comes, lets you know who it has come from. It shows by its expression whether it's a happy email or whether it's a complaining email. Okay, it says whether it's from a friend, stranger, workplace. Okay, and it makes use of icons, colors and other things to make it really visible and expressionable. Okay, so just 3 instances of it. Okay, we've seen that. Okay, we also compared scenario 1 of you go into the bank, the traditional one which takes a lot of time and effort, as against another one where you can do the same function of trying to get a loan for a laptop much more easy and smoother. So the second experience is much better than the first one. We are repeating this again, but if you look at experiences of what happens in a place of worship, or when you go to a restaurant with friends and have a good time, or when you're celebrating a festival, you will see that actually you make use of all your sensories, and yeah, so they're all involved in actually giving you a good experience. And so the big question is that, can I actually use these sensory experiences when I'm actually designing a product or a service? Okay, so if you look at the steps in experience design, you need to do a step-by-step walkthrough of all the sensory interactions with the product or service. While doing this, note down all the decision-making points. Okay, decide how many of the senses or how the senses can actually be involved in interacting with the concept, and then make a rough prototype and get feedback on this, and if it works well, go ahead with that.